There'll be radio phonographs for the famous Admiral exclusive features, slide away that makes loading and unloading your record changer so easy, and the foolproof Admiral automatic record changer. There'll be consoles and table models and newly designed cabinets of fine woods and modern plastics. There'll be farm sets and portables in many styles and sizes, including the popular Admiral Bantam, the camera-type radio that operates on alternating current, direct current, or self-contained batteries. There'll be new electronic refinements and AM, FM, and shortwave reception. And now about television. Admiral's extensive research assures television receivers with true Admiral quality. So, whatever you want in radio, you'll find it in an Admiral, America's smart set. You can get a very good idea of what Admiral will offer if you'll write for a free copy of the new, full-colored booklet entitled It's a Promise from Admiral. Just write your name and address on a penny postcard and mail it to Admiral in care of this radio station. That's all. Just your name and address mailed to Admiral at this station.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
Time for Jim George, also known as Professor Gadget. He's in the studio. We're ready to pick his brain about the different things that he is an expert on. Good morning, Jim. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you.
So let's start with this. First of all, it's National Old Time Radio Day.
Yes.
So that was one of the coolest contraptions, inventions, gadgets of all time.
I agree.
I think it still is. I still love radio.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean, not just because I do this, but just listen. I love
even if I'm working around the house at all, and instead of the TV being on, I turn on the radio.
Yeah. In the car.
Yep.
Car. I love. I mean, I know we have this satellite radio, which is cool, but in a way, I'd rather be tuning in. Like if I'm driving through the mountains of Tennessee or whatever.
Yes.
I'd rather find some little station that's just reaching out for 500 miles. Well,
yep.
No, 50 miles.
50
sorry.
miles,
Yeah. 500.
Of course, the North Carolina mountains, it may
that's a big station. Yeah.
A 500-mile station may only go 50 miles.
Which I'm glad we still have AM radio because it's how you hear some of those.
Well, many of your listeners remember the old crystal radios.
I do too.
And the radios and the Heath radios. We had to make your own radio, and you get a Heath kit, and you'd put it together.
I don't remember that. No.
Old time radios. Yeah.
Really?
Those were the days.
Yeah, I remember clipping it to the finger stopper on the rotary phone, and that's how you got your radio signal. Do you remember that?
Yep, that was the ground, and and the ground wire went back to the panel, and that was a long wire.
It's just a little tiny thing.
A little tiny thing.
With a little earplug that got wax in it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so today also, I wanted to say something. This morning I said that you're the owner of American Cable Services, and I guess we all grasp what that is. You put cable TV in people's homes. Media in motion is kind of a mystery to me. And during the break, well, before we went on the air, it wasn't a break, but you told us something that I didn't know you did. So let's talk about that for a second.
Sure. We're concentrating more on security for the home, not so much an alarm panel, but closed-circuit TV. You've seen the nanny cams where people leave, and then they come back and they look at the nanny cam, and the nanny's been in their fridge, or or has beat the kid or beat the dog or whatever. Well, those are just closed-circuit TV cameras that are in the home, and they look like a clock. They look like a book. I mean, they're so deceptive. There's no way you know that's a camera. So we've been putting in those type for the homeowner. But also, like in my own home, I'm putting in 8 cameras around my house. Now, they're all under my fascia or my soffit area, but they're not necessarily so much for security as one faces the front of the yard, one faces the back, the side. And what that's for is in case something happens to any neighbor. You've always heard where there's been a break-in next door and nobody's seen anything.
Right.
Well, I'm going to have a camera aimed at his garage. So I have 2 homeowners with their garages, and I'm going to face that way. The front, in case the UPS person delivers something and someone comes behind the UPS and picks it up. You've seen those videos.
Seen those, yes.
And those systems are fairly inexpensive. You have the type that Harbor Freight sells, which is 4 cameras and the recorder, and it's like $248. You got to get a little bit above that quality. You got to get a quality where it's somewhere around $350 for the unit and cameras themselves. And the labor, you can literally do it yourself. I mean, you just run a wire to the camera, aim the camera where you want it, and there it is.
Okay.
There may be a little difficulty in programming the DVR because you would like it to record maybe only motion or record all the time.
Okay.
And then, of course, you have to learn how to play it back.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question about that.
Yeah, you want to be able to play it back.
Okay, so how much time does it record, and does it loop over itself and erase what was previously
there? It does.
there?
About if you have 4 cameras and they're recording 24/7, it's about 30 days.
30 days?
Yes.
Well, that's a long time.
It is a long time. I mean, if you felt something is missing in your front yard and you didn't notice it missing until a week after,
yeah,
you just rewind it.
Well, how would you know where to go? Do you have to watch that for a long time, or what do you do?
Well, you go back to the day you do remember it being there, and if you don't, then yes, but you can fast forward.
Oh, just keep looking until it's gone.
Yeah, it's on a hard drive.
And you know it's somewhere between where it was.
Yes, right. Very, very true. So closed-circuit TV cameras are very essential. I was telling you before we came on about a church that had me put closed-circuit TV cameras in the hallway and places like that because they wanted to protect their daytime children's. You know, they have children in the daytime they take care of, like a daycare, and they just wanted to make sure the children were safe and were well taken care of. And of course, while I was doing the wire, the parent or the guardian, whoever was taking care of them, was coming down the hall, and the children were singing a song about God gave us our daily food. They were going to lunch.
Oh, really?
It was really neat, and they were very courteous, and they went outside and played after they ate lunch. So they want those cameras to make sure that the place is safe.
You know, I don't know if this is coming from watching too much TV or whatever, but I don't really watch much TV. So, but anyway, you know, you always hear about people who see the camera, spray paint it, and then commit some kind of a crime. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you ever have somebody request like phony cameras that are visible and then real cameras that are invisible so that they can spray the phony camera all they want? It wouldn't stop anything.
The phony cameras, yes, they've requested that, which is really, I can tell you some sad stories about that because let's take it's a parking garage in Tallahassee. True story. And they put in cameras, but in order to save money, they only hooked up half of them. So the students think they're safe because when they park at night, they're on camera.
Right.
And the guard who's in the lobby of the apartment complex can see them.
Right.
Well, the young lady was attacked, and when she reported to the police, they went to the and that was one of the cameras that was a fake camera. So it's not really a good idea to have a fake camera because it gives you a false sense of security.
Yeah.
You really want the real camera.
But what I'm saying is, okay, but don't they sometimes, or is this just from the movies, where they spray paint?
Oh, they do.
So then you couldn't see anything.
Right. I completed a homeowner's house about probably a year ago now, and he had me put them in the wall and it's a pin size, like a quarter size hole. So. And then they had a two-way mirror that they put over it, or a picture that had a hole in it in the camera. So the cameras are hidden. Now, what he did it for is he had a son, and the son was a drug person.
Oh.
And he knew that the son may invite people over, and the people inviting over could steal from the parent. So they put cameras throughout their house. And when they got home at night, all they would look at is the cameras that were aiming towards.
Wow.
The jewelry, let's say, not towards. They didn't really care so much about what went on in the house as much as none of their stuff was missing.
Right.
We had a story yesterday about a guy who kept getting tickets. It wasn't in this country, but I think it was in England. Okay, he kept getting tickets for parking tickets because I guess in England they can move the no parking zones just simply by putting a yellow cone. If they put a yellow cone, you're not allowed to park there. So he would park and come back and have a ticket, and the yellow cone would be by his car. And he would say, now, how did I not see that? So he put a dashboard cam on, and he caught the police officer moving the yellow cone to his car and then writing him a ticket. Then he finds the police officer, and he says, you gave me a ticket, and you moved the cone to my spot. And the police officer says, no, that's ridiculous. I never move the cones. You're just going to have to be more careful next time. Just pay your fine. And then he says, well, I do have you on tape moving it. And the article said he went mad. The police officer went mad. We would say got mad. They said he went mad.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was caught.
Yes.
And I thought, wow. And they showed it. You could see it. They posted it on the internet. Yeah.
Well, I'm actually pricing a dash cam for myself. I'm just trying to get a little lower price. But
Are you?
The bottom line is, I see things all the time. You know, whether I'm parked in a parking lot doing my paperwork and there's something ahead of me, or I'm driving down the road, and I'll tell people what I've seen, and it's hard to explain. So I can just say, "Let me show you what I saw."
Yeah.
I mean, there's some weird people do weird things in cars.
If we could ever have an animator sit with Robin and I in separate rooms and put together a quick animation of what we saw the night we hit the cow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
I bet you it's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Because it was like, nothing, there's a cow, and we're...
You're right. And there it is.
It was so instant. It was an instant thing. Yeah.
Right.
But it was one of those nights where I say, gosh, I wish we had a dashboard cam. We could show people what it looked like.
Exactly.
It was horrible.
All of a sudden, and there he was.
It wasn't as horrible as it could have been, but it's scary. Yeah.
Well, it sure hurt your car as much as it hurt that cow.
No, it hurt the cow more. The cow became sandwiches or something. All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be right back. By the way, the phone lines are open. Jim is here to answer your questions about your technology, whether it's your TV, your computer. Maybe you've never considered having a security home camera system set up in your home or your place of business. This is a great thing to pick Jim's brain about. This is a real practical use of technology. We'll take a little break and be right back. If you do want to call, the number is 622-9622. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Clouds and some sun on Friday with a couple of showers and thunderstorms. Any thunderstorm can be strong in the afternoon with torrential downpours, large hail, and damaging wind gusts. The high today 77 to 81. Friday night will be mostly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm early, though 63 at the interior, 69 at the coast. Saturday, variable cloudiness with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, highs in the upper 70s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Hospice of Marion County has an urgent need for volunteers to share a conversation with someone, run errands, hold someone's hand. All you need is a willingness to help others. Our volunteers believe the blessings they receive far exceed the services they offer. Will you consider serving, caring, and making a difference? Call today, 873-7441. Hospice of Marion County, making more moments of life possible.
Hi, this is Vanessa Lane Jennings with the Jennings Law Firm, located here in beautiful Ocala. Join me every single Friday at 10:30 for Legal Lane. We'll be discussing various legal topics such as family law, criminal law, contracts, and much more. So this is your chance to call in with your legal questions and have them answered. That's every Friday, 10:30, right here, WOCA The Source.
Recently, in a big eastern city, a group of trained men and women called on thousands of housewives and asked this simple question: what kind of container do you prefer for the foods you buy? An overwhelming majority of housewives said they preferred to buy food packed in glass. Among them were a great many mothers of small children, and by a ratio of more than 8-to-1, these mothers said they insisted on prepared baby foods packed in glass. They gave many reasons, as you might expect. But here are the 3 reasons mentioned most frequently. First, glass lets you see what you buy before you buy it. Second, you can heat, serve, and store leftover portions of prepared baby food in the same glass container. And third, these young mothers agreed that sterilized glass containers are cleaner and more sanitary. You can buy an increasing number of the better brands of food packed in glass. And all of the better brands of prepared baby food come to you in Anchor glass containers sealed with tamper-proof Anchor vacuum caps. Both products of Anchor Hawking.
19 minutes after 9 o'clock, and we heard that one earlier, and we were commenting on today's National Old Time Radio Day. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
So we said, isn't it interesting they're advertising the jar? They're not advertising what's in the jar. The jar. So we were hypothesizing that baby food must have been sold in tin cans, I guess, at one time.
Don't know.
Yeah, like fruit and stuff like that in the very beginning, early 1900s.
Don't know.
Or maybe they just breastfed. I don't know.
It could be.
All right, we do have a phone call, and let's see. Jim George is here to answer your technological questions, and if you're interested in the home security systems he was talking about, that would be a great topic to continue with. But you don't have to, of course. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim George.
No, I have a little bit of a different subject. It is really high tech, but it's something that's of interest to me. Is I've got the old kind of flip cell phone that when I'm not using, I keep on the charger. And every once in a while, when I open it up, it says fully charged, take off charger, save energy. Now, doesn't this thing stop charging it when it's fully charged? And how much energy can a little flip-top cell phone take?
Well, it doesn't draw that much current while it's charging, but it continually draws current even if you have nothing attached to it. Is it very little? Yes, it is. It's very little. The most the most energy consuming device you have in your house is not your water heater. It is not your refrigerator. It's not your air conditioner. It's your cable set-top box. That draws the most energy. So if you have a set-top box and you leave it plugged in 24 hours a day, believe it or not, that consumes more energy than the other devices I mentioned.
Well, that wouldn't be a good idea unplugging it when you're not using it.
No,
right?
it wouldn't, but I'm just making you aware.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would leaving that cell phone plugged in, would that be doing any damage to it?
I believe that could be answered better by the Verizon gentleman, but the way I understand it, you do not want to charge anything 24/7. So if you have a laptop and you keep it plugged in and then you go to use it and you want to run it on batteries, it has very little life because the battery has never been stressed to the point of total discharge and then recharge. So you do want to let the battery drain down to nothing and then recharge it.
Oh, very good. I'll have to remind my wife of that because I think she just does what you just said, and it's probably not a good idea.
No, unplug it, let it drain all the way down to nothing. And
okay, very good. Well, I'm going to turn her in because of you, okay?
You got it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
There was a story, I don't remember where we heard it from, about a cell phone that exploded. And I think it might have been from Matt Wilkerson, who said that from Verizon. I believe he was the person who said that.
They've actually said things like, don't charge your battery or keep your battery charged and then put it under your pillow in case you're expecting a call that night. It will get super hot.
Yeah.
And it will burn up.
It can burn your pillow.
It'll burn up, burn your house down.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
So let me give you my Titanic story since today's National
Day.
That's
right.
All right.
That's right, yes.
For years, as growing up, my mother made a dressing at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we are Lebanese by ancestry, so we assumed that it was a Lebanese recipe.
Okay.
And it was made from celery, onions, and parsley with mayonnaise and some lemon.
Okay.
All right. Very, very tasty. And so one day we had cornered her. This is maybe about 10 years ago, and she said, "No, it's not a Lebanese recipe. It's a French recipe."
Oh, okay.
And she said, "The way I got it was from my mother." I said, "Yeah, every time we go down to Grandma's house, she would have the same, stuffing." Where did she get it from? She said, "Well, when the Titanic sank, the Carpathian came to its rescue to pick up survivors. And my mother was on the Carpathian." This is my mother speaking, so our grandmother.
Wow.
Really?
And so she had to share a suite with another person, and that person was from France. And they shared recipes, and she gave my mother speaking, our grandmother, the recipe. And I said, so all these years we thought we were eating a Lebanese recipe.
Oh,
it was
wow.
a French recipe that you got off of the Titanic.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that something?
Yeah,
wow.
So that's my.
So the person
Titanic.
she got the recipe from was rescued from the Titanic.
Right, and she was French.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very interesting story. So now every year when I make it, I put a little French flag on top.
This is the Titanic recipe.
Yes, it is.
You wouldn't have had that if that was
exactly. We would have been eating who knows what.
And your grandma never talked to you about it.
No,
about being on the Carpathian and the rest.
No, I wish I had asked that back when my grandmother was alive. That would have been interesting to find out how it went and everything.
How old was
of course,
she?
My grandmother died at 101, and my mother died at 86. My mother died of cancer. My grandmother just died of old age.
But how old was your grandmother when she was on the Carpathia?
Oh, that I could not tell you. I could not tell you.
Wow. She must have been in her 20s.
Yep. Very interesting story.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
So that's my Titanic story.
That is a cool time. I remember as a kid when we were talking. I guess it was a Titanic movie that must have come out in the '60s. Because I remember everybody was talking about the Titanic just like they were when the movie came out. How many years ago was it now? 20 years ago?
Yeah. There's a black and white Titanic film.
Yeah. But I remember one of my friends said that somebody was on the Titanic, and then so years later, when the newer one came out, they published a list of all the names. I didn't find his family name on there anywhere, so I don't know. Well, it could, like my grandfather's last name was not the same as my mother's father's last name was. Yeah, so.
Right. But if you were an immigrant coming over, the last names was changed. I know that when my grandfather came over, they interpreted his last name to be George. And that's how we got.
Do you know what it was?
Really?
When his brother came over a couple of months later through Ellis Island, they interpreted his last name to be Isa.
Oh my!
And so they're brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you're a George.
It was just the immigration guy had a bad day. What's your last name? The guy goes, okay, George. Hey, what's your last name? Okay, Isa.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's how they did it. So it was
wow.
They didn't care. Get through the system, get out. They had to quarantine them for a certain number of days to make sure they didn't have tuberculosis and all that kind of stuff.
But they did have a system, and back then everybody had to follow that system.
Yep. There was a system, but the naming was just whatever that guy at the time decided to name them. Very interesting.
I want to go back to what you were talking about with the home security cameras.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you said they can record for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 30 days straight.
Right.
Do you have to be there to review the video? Could you be like in Hawaii and look at it on your computer or something?
Yes.
You could.
Yeah. Yeah, it's networkable. So you'd have an IP address inside the DVR, and then all you'd have to do, either using your cell phone or a computer, just IP. Instead of going to google.com, you go to 191.18. That's the address, and it comes right up. And then you see, and if there's 8 cameras, you can change. I want to look at camera 1, camera 6, whatever camera you want to look at. You can erase it remotely, or you can say, no, I'll erase it when I get back in town because something else may come up that I didn't notice.
Right.
All that's feasible. And you could get an IP camera and a DVR, and what that does is each camera has its own IP address. So now you can IP into any one individual.
Can you hook that up to your TV?
You can hook it up to your TV.
If
you have a smart TV.
There's been at least once, maybe more than once, where the police have come to Joe and Dan and said, hey, do you happen to have any footage we can look at? Because there was somebody here in the mall who did something, and they want to see if we got it on tape. So,
right.
Yeah. We call it tape. It's not tape anymore.
Right. It's just recorded.
Yeah, it's just recorded.
And it can be recorded on tape, record on DVD, record in the cloud. The cloud's big.
Well, and the cloud, I was thinking about this too. If you had a fire and it all burned up, you wouldn't have anything.
Right.
But if it was on the cloud, you could say, hey, look, the fire started in the kitchen or in the living room or whatever.
Right. Yeah, we suggest that. We suggest that even if you have a self-contained DVR, storage in the cloud is so cheap, it's like 25 cents a gig. Just store it in the cloud.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you might pay $4 a month or $3 a month, some low figure, to have it stored. And that way, even if you erase it off of your DVR, it's recorded in the cloud.
Does that include, when you have the system, does it include like a burglar alarm, something that screams out?
Well, you can do that since the cameras are motion sensitive. In other words, you can use the motion sensitive part of it to say only record when there's motion. You could have that trigger something.
Oh, really?
But I'm not positive you'd want to, because a cat could come through. I mean,
well, that's there are videos on the internet that are very funny. Actually, the people leave and the dog decides, okay, I'm gonna sleep on the bed, and then the dog is not allowed on the bed.
Right.
But with the people, isn't it amazing how dogs and animals?
They know.
Jim, it's always fun and always entertaining and educational. So, what is your phone number?
My number is 854-9795.
All right, call Jim George. Get that home security camera system set up and protect yourself. Thank you, Jim.
Have a great day.
We'll be right back.
Bye.
News Radio.